We're going to begin seated. You can be in your chair or you could be on the floor, however you prefer. Okay, find your seat. You want to have, if you're sitting in the chair, you want to have 90, 90, 90, meaning 90 degrees at the ankle, 90 degrees at the knee, 90 degrees at the hips. That assures that the joints are lined up. The ankle's right under the knee. The thighs are parallel to the floor, and then we can really ground ourselves on our sitting bones. So, as I said, we're going to be looking into yesod, into foundation today. So we have two foundations right here. We have the foundation of our feet. You can lift and spread your 10 toes, and as you lay them down, press the feet down towards the floor. So just feel that contact, the surface area of the feet with the floor. And notice anything that occurs through the rest of the body as you press the feet down. Take your hands to your inner thighs, and for a moment, just a little isometric. Move your hands against your knees and your inner knees against your hands. Nothing's moving. You're just pressing one into the other. And notice how that fires up the line of the inner leg to the core, to the abdominal muscles, to the torso. And then take the hands to the outer knees and do the same thing. So the outer knee moves against the hand, the palm moves against the outer knee. Just notice how it fires up the core and enlivens you. Great. And then take your hands, one to the belly and one to the low back. I'll show this from the side. So you feel that you're on your sitting bones. You're on those two bones that form the base of the pelvis. Roll to the front, so it's like if you have a bowl, roll to the front, you're arching a little the low back so that the belly spills into your hand. And notice how that feels to arch and be on the front of the sitting bones. And then curl, we're just doing like a partial cat-cow. It's just the low back where you move to the back of the sitting bones. And then come forward right onto the center and once again forward part of the sitting bones and feel the belly spill forward, a little bit of arch through the low back, and then curl coming to the tops of the sitting bones and the backs of the sitting bones. Feel the sacrum round and the belly scoop out, move away from your hands. And then find your way just back to center in that Goldilocks setting. Just find it where it's just right in the center, so that you feel the feet are pressing down, you have the grounding of the sitting bones. Right, so we're going to explore today foundation when we're standing, foundation when we're sitting, and foundation when we're lying down. We'll get to that in a moment. So in honor of these feet and yesod and foundation, let's take a little massage for the foot. You can start with either foot. You can start anywhere you like on the foot. I like to go across the ball of the foot first. You can press into the toe mounds and between the toe mounds. And as you move along the base of the foot, you can press your thumbs in. You can do it kind of like a kitty cat, just pawing your way. Or you can press and hold with whatever amount of pressure feels just right. So right away, absorbing the attention, the practice of yoga is union, yoking. We are yoking the mind to sensation in the foot here to see exactly what's needed, exactly the amount of pressure, exactly the speed. It may not sound like much, but we start with a low stakes event in terms of asking what we need. The foot is asking for what it needs. And in my conversation with myself, I'm giving myself what I need, right? The foot is asking, and the fingers, the thumbs are obliging. Make sure you get back to the heel, the Achilles, that little gentle spot behind the ankle. Just rub the Achilles a little bit. And you can take the toes like play little piggy and get each one and pull. Right? And when we do that, when we start to tune in and give ourselves exactly what we want, it radiates outward. And now take one finger between each toe, kind of this toe spacer thing. You may not be able to get them into all, but you'll see how you do. And then make some circles with the ankle, one direction and then the other. So it radiates outward. So I can start with my foot, just giving myself what I need, feeling that sense of pleasure when my need is met, my request is met. And then maybe I get a little bolder in conversations with others, and it radiates outward in my life to tuning into what I need, asking for what I need, and practicing receiving what I need. So take your fingers and just pull away a little bit, and then you can slap. And then shake it out. Scrunch the feet, stretch them, and we'll switch sides. So just to say that yoga, there's yoga on the mat. That translates into yoga, the practice of yoga off the mat. So what we do here, it's never just exercise, just shapes and postures. It's a practice of living. So same thing, just see what's needed. This foot might be really different. Be inquisitive, be listening. Just to give exactly the right amount of pressure, the right amount of care, the right speed. And this foot might need different things than the first foot. Check in with your breath. Let it be easy, smooth, even. Enjoy receiving your own touch. Right? Notice if the mind goes to, oh gosh, my feet are so dry, I need a cream, I need a pedicure, I need this. We're not here to scrutinize our feet. Can just bring the mind back to receiving care. Good. And then going to each toe, giving a little pull. Right, so when we get into critique or judgment, we can just come back. It's no big deal. We all do it. And then, to whatever extent possible, placing a finger between each set of toes. Woo! Making circles with the foot. One direction and the other, and then pull the fingers out. And give a little slap, a shake. And I'll share a few words before we move to standing, so you can keep most of your attention in your body as you just listen to me share a little bit, right? Because we're really interested in connecting at home. So, Yesod, the 6th week of the Omer. We're talking about foundation, roots, connection, and also community. How do our relationships form foundation and hold us? I want to talk about, as it pertains to yoga, finding foundation, finding the ground. Where's the ground and our connection to support when we're standing, when we're sitting, and when we're lying down? Where and how do we find foundation in the body? And how do we lay the groundwork for what we want to create? Foundation for what we want to create in our own lives. So Netzach and Hod, we had the last couple of weeks, form a triad with Yesod as the synthesis. So remember, it's thesis, antithesis, synthesis. So Netzach, endurance, effort. Hod, surrender, gratitude, acceptance. Balance those and we have foundation. I want to share a couple of words from Rabbi Josh Feigelson, and then we'll get to our standing poses. Let's see, it's over here. Josh talks about a virtuosic integration of power and grace, netzach, with movement and rest, hod, and that they find their integration in yesod, foundation. So with focus on yesod, we bring attention to experiencing our groundedness and our foundation that provides both the roots of our strength and a capacity to be receptive and adaptive, or resilient, you could say. So yesod is particularly present and necessary at moments of instability and transition. I would say we're in that. He provides us with a wonderful verse and drash. The Torah relates that after flooding the earth, when upper and lower waters were released and the world returned to a state of chaos, the Holy One made a promise to Noach and to all of humanity. In Genesis chapter 8, verse 22, so long as the earth endures, God says, so long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. So commenting on this passage, the 19th century Hasidic master, Rabbi Yaakov Yosef Leiner of Ishbitz, known as the Ishbitzer Rebbe, noted that these four pairs mentioned here, he understood that they reflect that this was a moment of tikkun, a moment of repair. So the Ishbitzer teaches, quote, this was the moment when the Yesod Olam, the foundation of the world, was made complete, such that it would last and endure. Okay, this was the moment when the Yesod Olam, the foundation of the whole world, was made complete, such that it would last and endure. So let's aim to be grounded in a foundation that's firm and also flexible, durable and resilient. Okay, so let's start with standing. And maybe we're not creating the Yesod Olam, the foundation of all the world right now, but at least the foundation of our own selves. So let's come to mountain pose. Let's take the feet hip width apart to begin. And again, lift the 10 toes and spread them, and to the extent possible, place them down so that you could see a little bit of mat between each toe. And ground the four corners of the feet, inner and outer heel, mound of the big toe, over to the mound of the little toe. So you could feel it, or you could look at it, or both. Or maybe you want to have your eyes closed as you find this grounding. Take a couple bends of the knees just to feel that there's some pliability in this grounding. And as you bend your knees, and then press the earth away to stand. A couple of times like that, bending, finding a little bit of buoyancy, of pliancy, and then press the floor away to come to this mountain pose. So you really feel this consistent connection of being rooted down in these four corners of the feet. And notice in your feeling, notice, and you can look if that's helpful as well. Does one foot pronate or supinate more than the other? Does it fold in at the ankle or out? How can you even out completely? And notice how that feels. Actually, it is good to take a look, because sometimes what you feel doesn't match what you see. So take a look. See if there's one arch, for instance, that needs to be a little more lifted. See that the ankles are even. And then just rest in this mountain pose. Feeling your yesod. And by the way, today is yesod shebe yesod. It's a double. So really, foundation within foundation, rooting within rooting. This is our day of the Omer to be really deeply rooted and connected. So see if you can touch in with that. And then let's take the legs wide, and we're going to turn them out, turn out at the feet so the toes are pointed roughly in the direction of the outer edges of the mat. The knees are going to go in the same direction as the toes. And we're just going to begin with the hands on the hips. Take the hands to the top of the hip crest. I'm making a horseshoe with my hands. And really kind of pull in like you're cinching in to feel the top of the hip crest, and then press down with your palms. So you're really grounding the feet from the top of the pelvic crest here. Just feel that sense of grounding down. Maybe it allows for the rib cage to begin to float up a little, and then you can begin to bend the knees and see that the knees are going over the middle toes, right? Not falling in, but tracking. And then once again, press into the earth to stand. You can remove the hands or keep them there as you wish. A couple of times like this, feeling that bending down, let the tailbone be heavy, see that the knees track properly, right? No pain, no strain, and then press the floor away. So you can see if you want to go deeper, right? You can, or just you can make it really low. But this idea of pressing the floor away, feel a sense that the earth meets you, that you have a really firm foundation. Good, and then come into the bend and stay here. We're going to take goddess pose, such a beautiful one, bending the elbows. The palms can face forward or the palms can face in, whichever is more comfortable for you. If there's any shoulder issues that prevent you, you can just remain here. Find a focal point that's soft and steady and breathe. And just stay till we build a little bit of heat. You can drop a little lower if you want. It's okay if the thighs start to shake a little. Feel those feet pressing down to the earth. Feel that connection. Ah! And then, as you're ready, press away. Bring the feet back in without shaking anything out or futzing or anything. Come right back to mountain pose, this time with the feet together. See if you can be still and steady. And feel your rooting. Feel a connection down. Good, we're going to take the legs wide and we're going to take a forward bend. So you may want to bring your hands to the chair or to blocks, or maybe your hands will come to the floor. So if you're going to take a chair, it's going to look like this, right? Or if you're coming lower, it depends on your hamstrings, of course. Take this wherever you need it. The legs are wide. The outer edge of the foot is parallel to the mat or even a little bit turned in. Once again, take the hands to the top of the pelvic crest and press down. And feel that line of the whole outer leg. And find those four corners of the feet. And see that the inner ankle especially is a bit lifted because it has a tendency perhaps to fall in this stance. Inhale, pressing the feet down, lifting the heart up, drawing the elbows toward each other, and then exhaling, folding forward, long spine. The hands are to the chair or to blocks or to the floor, and lengthen out the spine. Draw the thighs back. Good, and check the nature of your yesod, of your foundational connection. Where is the weight in your foot? Are you hanging back into the heels? Are you forward on your toes and grabbing your toes? Are you right through the center? Want to see where we are, both center right to left and the forward and back plane. And continue to ground the feet fully. There is a tendency often to just sit back in this pose, and that's not so great on your hamstrings. So the thighs are drawing back, and the crown of the head and the heart are really extending deeply forward. If you want to take a full forward bend, go for it. You can. And just feel your connection, your foundation with this wide stance. And then when you're ready, hands to the hips, press into the feet, lift up. and come back to center. Good. Then a little balancing on our foundation. So we're going to shift over so that the right leg is the standing leg, and then bring the left foot up. You have a few choices here. One is you can just place it right on the chair if balance is an issue and you just want to feel this sense, and you can kind of play with it off the chair, right? That's one way you can do it, or just hold on to the chair or the wall. Or bring the knee up, clasp hands under the thigh, let the thigh really drop into the hands, and see that the pelvis is even, right? These headlights of the pelvis, we want to make an even foundation here. So you could be right here. If you want, you can draw the knee up closer to the chest and lengthen and really press that standing leg down. But whatever you do, you want to stay even in those hips. And just finding this balance, and if you fall out, you just come back in. So find your foundational line through that standing leg, through that right foot. Easy in the gaze. And then switch. So we notice how Yesod, how it changes, right? Every time we move, the foundation's a little bit different for us. So rooting in the left leg, we bring up the right knee. And again, you can take it any way you like. On the chair, as I'm doing, clasped under the thigh, right? We're drawing the knee up higher, clasping the shin or under the knee. And just feel that sense of Yesod. And then when you're ready, release. And once again, take a hand to the belly and a hand to the low back, right? And feel, we're about to transition to the floor. So just starting to bring some awareness back to the pelvis here. Notice if you feel stable in the pelvis, or quite unstable, or you don't feel anything. There's no test here or competition. Just notice how you feel. Notice what there is to notice. And then we're going to come down to the floor. So you might want to sit up on something, and also you might want to have the chair nearby. We're going to begin by extending the legs long. You could bend the knees or put something under the knees as you like. I'm going to flex through the feet and then also extend the balls of the feet forward. Now, back to this foundation that we discussed at the beginning of class. If you notice that it's very hard for you to be right up on top of the sitting bones, if the hip flexors grab, or if it's just simply not possible to be up, you want to change the angle at the thigh. So you want to add some more cushion. If you lift yourself up higher, then chances are you can get the pelvis in better orientation. Another option, if you're super tight or there are issues in the pelvis, you can do this seated. So notice how if when my leg is out here, if I'm curled, when I change the angle, make it a little easier, I can sit right up. Right, so the things that we're going to do, knees out to the side and Upavista, legs wide, you can do all that in the chair if you prefer that to being seated here. So here we are, legs out long in some fashion, the hands coming to the sides of the hips and palms flexed and pressing down just slightly, not to irritate the wrists. Or if you have your chair, you can kind of hold on to your chair and widen the collarbones and lift the sternum here. So What is our yesod? What is our foundation here? It's the sitting bones, it's the pelvis, and it's the whole back of the leg against the floor. So taking a moment just to feel that change in yesod. And to notice where we are in relation to our own sitting bones. And then we're going to bend the knees and take the soles of the feet together and the knees wide. You could take this more as a diamond shape. This is cobbler's pose. This one is called Tarasana, the diamond, and this one is called Baddha Konasana, bound angle, or often referred to as cobbler. Right? So the heels can be closer in toward the groin or they can be further away. And the same thing, you might notice that as you bring the feet in, you lose your low back. So you only want to be somewhere where you can still sit up tall. You can hold on to your ankles. You could hold on under your two big toes. You could take the hands behind you, tent the fingertops, draw the elbows toward each other and lift the heart. Or again, you could use the chair, although I don't think that gives a lot of leverage in this particular position. So just being right here, and we do this pose all the time, but the lens today, our take today is yesod, right? So our take today is what is the nature of my foundation in this pose, and how can I create for myself the most stable foundation. So really taking some moments, you can rock side to side, front to back, taking some moments to examine and be curious about where you are feeling your foundational connection here. And what is it like when you reduce effort? Reduce the doing and allow the support to just come from your foundation. And then draw the knees back together and extend the legs long once again. And again, you can see if you need to be up on a little more support. And one thing you can do here is you can, if it's comfortable for you, you can take your hands to your own buttocks one at a time and just remove the buttock flesh, like draw it back a little bit so that you're really sitting right on the sitting bones. And this is where you can use the chair like I'm doing, or you could use a strap around the feet if you'd like to sit up tall. And seeing where you are, again, in relation to the pelvis. So find a real integrity here, best you can, on the center of those sitting bones, and notice how it is. And you might notice any stories that arise about your situation right now, how you were more flexible or less flexible 5 years ago, or this and that, or any frustrations or feelings of being a champion in this pose, whatever it is. Just see if you notice those storylines coming in, if you can just kind of drop them on the next exhale and just be tuned into sensation in this moment. You could stay right here. If you'd like to begin to fold forward, you can do that by taking each inhale to extend the spine long, Really rooting through the sitting bones, extending tall with the crown, and each exhale to slightly bend forward. We do it incrementally. Inhale and lengthen the space from vertebra to vertebra. Exhale and fold slightly. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, fold slightly. And you can come forward any amount. You can grab your big toes or the outside of your feet or the chair in front of you, or you can stay sitting up. And just exploring and feeling. Taking your time to breathe into this seated experience of Yesod. And then when you're ready, you can come on up. And I'll offer a nice counter pose. It's not for everyone because there's a little bit of pressure on the wrists. They come behind you with the fingertips pointing forward. You could also do it on fists or just skip it. But you're taking the hands behind you, elbows draw together, and the knees bend and the feet come to the floor. And then you press into the feet. And inhale, lift the hips, and chin can stay tucked or head can go back. You just stay for a moment, tabletop, and you can come on down. You do that a time or two or not at all, whatever you like. The next thing that we're going to do is take the legs wide. I'm moving to a different angle. You don't have to. You can just be where you are. You can keep a chair in front of you if it is. Take your legs a little wide or a lot wide or somewhere in between. And same principle here again, finding that center of the sitting bones. And the first step is just lifting up. So I'm taking my hands behind me, tenting through the fingertops, pressing down with those fingertops, and drawing the elbows toward each other in order to lift the chest and separate the collarbones. And now feel this sense of Yesod in the wide stance, right? So we've been doing legs together, legs apart, legs together, legs apart, both in the standing and the sitting. And notice, how does it feel to have this more expansive foundation with the legs, more expansive footprint? And where are you on the sitting bones? And then if you'd like, same thing, you can begin to fold forward little by little, inhaling, grounding and lengthening, and exhaling, folding. I like how Josh said it, balancing power and grace, netzach, with softening, surrendering, hod, helps us find our foundation. Right? So it's never a static situation. The whole thing about the Sfirot that's so beautiful through the Omer is we're balancing qualities of God's emanation that we can find in ourselves in this sort of kaleidoscopic manner. So it's never that it's like just chesed, just gevurah, we're shining a spotlight, but they're all, these 7 lower Sfirot, they're all living within us and dancing and moving together. So today, Yesod should be Yesod, right? And every day we turn it a little. So foundation within foundation. I always like this particular day. And then when you're ready, we're going to come onto the back. And feel, and you might want the blanket for under your head, neck here. Come into constructive rest. The knees bent, the elbows out to the sides, and the hands on the low belly or the low ribs. Just take a moment to pause here and be with the sense of foundation now changing. Right? So now the foundational connection is the whole torso, and the whole back body if the legs were extended long. So we can feel our feet down and the floor meeting us. We can feel the sacrum, the low back, the hips, just landing and the floor meeting us. And you could feel the back of the rib cage and your shoulder blades and your outer shoulder blades dropping and the floor meeting you. Is there anywhere that you could just drop some effort? Or is there anywhere that you're holding that can release down, let go? And then the back of the head can release down and allow the floor to meet you. Good, so once again, we did this standing. Let's do it lying. We're going to draw the right knee in toward the chest. You can hug it in any way you like, behind the knee or at the shin, and then flex through the left foot. Dig that heel in, and in a direct line away from the sitting bone, just drive that heel into the ground and extend the leg long. See that the pelvis stays even. Right, so you might have to adjust the right knee so that the right hip doesn't hike up. Keep active through that left leg, that quote-unquote standing leg. Feel the whole heel to the sitting bone, to the shoulder in contact with the floor. And then just notice how this is. This is a lot harder standing, obviously, right? Notice how this goes in your shoulders, in your jaw, in your throat. Stay flexed through that left foot. So it's really active, right? But we're also allowing the foundation to hold us. Good. And then we'll switch. So release the legs. Bending through both knees, soles of the feet to the floor, and then hugging that left knee in. Again, keeping a sense that the pelvis is even. Flex through the right foot. Activate and dig through that heel as you extend it forward in the line of the sitting bone so that the sitting bone and heel end up in one line, right? Until you extend long, if that's available to you. Right foot flexed, sending the ball of the foot forward. And again, just checking in, giving into yesod, being supported. Active standing leg. Easy in the solar plexus and belly. Easy in the throat. Easy in the jaw. It's amazing how many poses we just do with our jaw. The jaw doesn't need to be there at all. And then release. And we'll come to stillness in any way you'd like. You might want that to be in constructive rest. You might want to take your lower legs to the chair. You might want a traditional shavasana, long legs, wide. Just shake out the legs. You can take the arms long, palms facing up, 6 or 8 inches away from the body. So wherever you want to be, just take a few minutes of stillness to integrate this sense of yesod, and to allow the body to receive its foundation, its connection. And as you're ready, take your time to come back to the surface. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Give your knees a hug. And then roll over onto one side. If it's comfortable for you to come to a fetal position, just remaining there. Use your upper arm as a pillow for your head. And just pause here. Little version of self-hug. Today and this week, may we nurture a strong and sustainable foundation for our lives. May our practice help us even to find the foundations that are already here, but are perhaps concealed from our awareness and from our view. And may we embody both strength and grace in body and spirit and heart. May we make our lives a trustworthy and dependable foundation for others, for those who lean on us, individuals and communities. So you can make your way up to a comfortable seat. And coming back into touch with the sitting bones, in contact with whatever seat you're on. And we'll close, as we've been doing every week, with Achenu Kol Beit Israel, a sincere prayer, wish, aspiration, intention that the Chatufim, the hostages, be released now in good health, in safety. This comes from our liturgy, and it's read at the Torah service both on Mondays and Thursdays, so it's appropriate for today. You can sing along with me or just listen. Achenu kol Beit Yisrael, Achyoteinu kol Beit Yisrael, Hanetunim b'tzara ubashivya, Haomdim ben bayam uven bayabasha. Hamakom yerachem alehem veyotziem mitzara lirevacha umafel leora umishibud ligeula hashta bagala uvizman kariv. Taking a breath or two to seal your practice. And as you're ready, you can open your eyes, come back to the room. Thank you all for practicing today. Sorry I went a few minutes over.